Welcome to the final module of your Accuplacer audio training, ACC WP 6.1, titled Critical Thinking. As you finish your route today, take a deep breath and realize that you have reached the summit of this preparation. Critical thinking is the highest level skill on the Wright-Placer rubric. It is the intelligence quotient of your essay. While our previous modules focused on the skeleton, the muscle, and the skin of your writing, critical thinking is the brain. On the Accuplacer, a score of 8, the highest possible, is reserved for students who demonstrate a sophisticated ability to analyze an issue from multiple perspectives, identify underlying assumptions, and explore the long-term implications of their stance. The automated grader is looking for cognitive depth. It wants to see that you aren't just repeating a surface-level opinion, but that you are engaging in a deep, logical investigation of a complex problem. To master critical thinking, we must first define what it looks like to an automated grader. In an academic context, critical thinking is not just about having a thought. It is about thinking about the thought. It involves metacognition. To achieve a top-tier score, you must move beyond black and white thinking. Most prompts on the Wright-Placer are designed to be dialectical, meaning there is no single right answer. If you treat a complex issue as if it is simple, you are failing the critical thinking test. For example, if the prompt asks about the impact of social media, and you only say, social media is great for talking to friends, you have provided a low-level, simplistic response. A critical thinker would say, while social media has undoubtedly democratized the flow of information, it has simultaneously created echo chambers that threaten the quality of public discourse. Notice the difference. The second statement acknowledges complexity and conflict. This is the first pillar of critical thinking, the recognition of nuance. The second pillar of critical thinking is identifying and questioning assumptions. Every argument is built on a set of hidden beliefs that the author takes for granted. A top-tier writer identifies these beliefs and evaluates them. Let us analyze a high-level example for your audio learning. Imagine a prompt that asks, should every student be required to attend college immediately after high school? A basic writer would say, yes, because college helps you get a better job and earn more money. A critical thinker would look at the hidden assumption in that statement. The assumption is that the primary purpose of education is economic gain, and that a traditional 4-year degree is the only path to that gain. A high-scoring essay would argue, the mandate that every student attend college immediately ignores the inherent value of vocational training and the necessity of real-world experience. It assumes that academic learning is the singular measure of human potential, a premise that fails to account for the diverse needs of a modern workforce. By questioning the premise of the prompt, you show the automated grader that you are a high-order thinker. You aren't just answering the question, you are analyzing the logic of the question itself. The third pillar is logical consistency and coherence. Critical thinking requires that your arguments must follow a non-contradictory path. If you argue in paragraph 2 that freedom of speech is absolute, but then argue in paragraph 3 that the government should ban certain types of speech, your logic has collapsed. The automated grader is programmed to detect these logical collisions. To maintain a top score, you must ensure that every sub-point you make is thematically aligned with your primary thesis. If you discover a conflict in your own logic while you are typing, you must use a reconciling transition. Example, although this policy appears to restrict individual liberty, it actually serves to protect the broader freedoms of the community by preventing chaos. This reconciliation shows the computer that you have thought through the conflict and found a logical solution. The fourth pillar is exploring implications. This is the so what factor. A critical thinker does not just look at the immediate effect of a policy or idea, they look at the long-term consequences. If you are writing about environmental regulation, don't just say it stops pollution. That is an immediate effect. A critical thinker looks at the implications. By prioritizing ecological health over short-term industrial profit, society is essentially making a collective investment in the viability of future generations. This shift in priority suggests a fundamental change in how we define progress, moving from a model of infinite consumption to a model of sustainable stewardship. When the automated grader sees words like future generations, fundamental change, or societal shift, it signals that you are thinking at a strategic or macro level. This is a primary marker for a score of 7 or 8. The fifth pillar is the sophisticated counterargument. We have discussed this in earlier modules, but in critical thinking, the counterargument must be more than a straw man. A straw man is a weak, silly version of the opposing view that is easy to knock down. A critical thinker creates a steel man, a strong, honest version of the opposing view, and then uses logic to prove why their own stance is still superior. Listen to this steel man strategy for your audio learning. Those who advocate for the censorship of the internet raise a legitimate concern regarding the spread of misinformation and its potential to incite real-world violence. They argue, quite reasonably, that the safety of the public should take precedence over the unrestricted flow of digital content. However, this argument fails to provide a clear standard for who shall act as the arbiter of truth. By empowering a single entity to decide what is true or false, we risk creating a system of control that is far more dangerous than the misinformation it seeks to eliminate. In this example, you gave the opposition credit for having a legitimate concern and a reasonable argument. This makes your refutation much more powerful because it shows you have engaged in deep analysis of the entire rhetorical landscape. The sixth pillar is evidence evaluation. In the right placer, you are providing your own evidence. Critical thinking means you should explain why your evidence is reliable or why it is a good representation of the issue. If you use a personal anecdote, you must generalize it. Example: while my personal experience with remote learning was positive, it serves as a broader illustration of how digital tools can accommodate diverse learning styles. If you use a historical example, you must show its relevance to today. Example: the Industrial Revolution serves as a cautionary tale. It demonstrates that technological progress, when left unregulated, can lead to severe human and environmental exploitation. This reflective analysis of your own evidence is a key trait of a high-scoring writer. The seventh pillar involves avoiding logical fallacies. These are common errors in reasoning that will cause the automated grader to lower your score. 1. The slippery slope. This is when you argue that one small step will inevitably lead to a total disaster without providing proof. If we allow students to use calculators, they will eventually forget how to do any math at all. 2. Hasty generalization. This is making a massive claim based on one tiny example. My neighbor's electric car broke down, therefore, all electric vehicles are unreliable. 3. Ad hominem. This is attacking the person instead of the argument. To achieve a top score, your logic must be evidence-based and reasonable. Avoid extreme predictions and emotional hyperbole. The tone of a critical thinker is calm, measured, and logical. The eighth pillar is the language of critical thinking. The automated grader looks for logical connectors and analytical verbs that indicate high-level thought. You must saturate your essay with these words. Use verbs like evaluate, differentiate, synthesize, hypothesize, extrapolate, validate, and substantiate. Use connectors like inherent in this argument is, conversely, paradoxically, undoubtedly, by extension, in light of this, and more fundamentally. These words are digital handshakes with the AI grader. They tell the computer that you are operating at the highest level of academic discourse. The ninth pillar is the synthesized conclusion. A basic conclusion just summarizes. A critical thinking conclusion brings all the pieces together into a new insight. Example: ultimately, the debate over technology and privacy is not merely a question of digital security, but a question of how we define the boundaries of the self in an increasingly transparent world. This final sentence elevates the entire essay. It shows that you have synthesized the specific points into a universal human concern. This is how you leave the grader, human or machine, with a sense of your intellectual authority. Now, let us discuss the executive strategy for your exam next Tuesday. When you read the prompt, you are going to perform a 3-minute brainstorm. Minute 1, what are the two sides? Complexity. Minute 2, what is the hidden assumption that both sides might be making? Assumptions. Minute 3, what are the long-term consequences of my stance? Implications. If you spend those 3 minutes thinking before you type, the critical thinking will be baked into the very foundation of your essay. You won't have to add it later. It will be the engine that drives every paragraph. As you finish this neighborhood and complete your route, take a moment of pride. You have just gone through an intensive college-level course in rhetoric, logic, and mechanics. You are no longer just a test taker. You are a strategic writer. You have the structural knowledge to build an essay, the mechanical knowledge to keep it clean, and the critical thinking skills to make it brilliant. When you sit down at that computer at Hudson Valley Community College next Tuesday, you are not going to be intimidated. You are going to be methodical. You will look at the prompt and see the target words. You will build your 5-paragraph blueprint. You will use your complex sentences and your academic diction. You will anchor your pronouns and audit your verb tenses. And finally, you will use your critical thinking to prove that you are ready for the highest level of college coursework. To summarize the final strategies for module ACC WP 6.1. First, acknowledge the complexity and nuance of the issue. Avoid black and white thinking. Second, identify and question the assumptions inherent in the prompt. Third, maintain logical consistency throughout the essay. Fourth, explore the long-term implications of your stance, the so what factor. Fifth, use steel man counterarguments to show you understand the opposition's strongest points. Sixth, use analytical verbs like evaluate and synthesize to signal your thinking level to the AI. Seventh, avoid logical fallacies like the slippery slope or hasty generalizations. Eighth, generalize your specific evidence to show its broader relevance. Ninth, provide a synthesized conclusion that offers a final, deep insight. 10th, use the 3-minute brainstorm to map out your logic before you type. You are ready, you have the tools, you have the stamina. You have used your time on the route to build a powerful mental advantage. On Tuesday, go into that testing center and deliver those arguments with the same precision and dedication you bring to your route every single day. You aren't just taking a test, you are clearing the path for your future at Hudson Valley. This concludes your complete A Cup Lacer preparation course. Good luck on Tuesday and stay safe out there on the streets. You've got this.